Dear students, welcome back. Now, this is my second lecture on the quantum mechanics, and today I'm going to start with the de Broglie wave theory. So, let's start with. So, wave particle duality. Now, let's try to understand what is the wave particle duality. Now, we know that we have the electromagnetic wave, and the electromagnetic wave is a big spectrum of all your wavelength, all your frequency. And electromagnetic wave have dual characters. That is, light is a part of small part of the spectrum of the electromagnetic wave, and all of you know that light behave sometime as a wave and sometime it behave as a particle. So it have the duality. So dual character of electromagnetic radiation implies that it may exist either wave-like characteristics or particle-like characteristics. So at a time, either it is going to behave like a wave or it is going to behave like a particle. Now the phenomenon of the interference and diffraction. So we have the two properties that I am taking over here. So these are the physical properties of the light: interference and diffraction. First, observe with the visual light can explain the electromagnetic radiation is assigned as a wave nature. So what we find that the physical property of the light, that is your visible spectrum, right? Light is the part of the visible spectrum, and if you are going to take the physical property of that light, and let us suppose I'm going to take the interference and diffraction, then these two property conclusively shows that the light is going to behave like a wave. Okay. Maxwell electromagnetic theory and its experimental verification by Hertz provided conclusive evidence in support of the wave characteristics. So we have already seen the Maxwell theory in the electromagnetic waves, right? And then that was proved by the Hertz, right? And there we have conclusively seen that the light behaves like a like your wave. So it will have the wave characteristics. However, the discovery of new experiments such as black body radiation, about which we had studied in the previous class, the photoelectric effect, the continuous X-ray spectra, the Compton effect. So there are many such effect, right? Photoelectric effect is another one that I have written. Zeeman effect, Stark effect. So there are many subatomic phenomena where we find that the wave characteristics of the light is not able to satisfy these phenomena. That is the phenomenon of your black body radiations, the Compton spectra, the continuous X-ray spectra, the photoelectric effect. All those effects is not being fulfilled by your wave taking light as a wave, and therefore we have taken light as a particle, and therefore we can say the light is behaving like both as a wave as well as particle. That is, in some of the experimental observations we find that light is behaving like a wave, in some other it is behaving like a particle. I'm giving you another example. Let us suppose we have the example of the polarization. That is another physical property of the light. And interference diffraction we have already seen. So in case of the interference and diffraction, it behave like a wave, but in case of the polarization, it behave like a particle. So polarization phenomenon cannot be proved taking light as a wave. You will have to take light as a particle. So what we find that the radiations, like your electromagnetic wave is a part of the radiation. So radiation is going to behave sometime as a wave and sometime as a particle. So what I'm saying, radiation is behaving like a wave or it is behaving like a particle. Now let us see whether the vice versa is can be taken or not. And with that we have the de Broglie matter wave. So the de Broglie said that the wave characteristics cannot be the monopoly of the radiation because nature is symmetric. So if the nature is symmetric, then if the radiation can behave like a wave, then radiation can behave like a wave, right? Then particles should also behave like a wave, right? And radiation can behave like a particle, then particles should also be able to behave like a particle. That is obvious. But if the radiation is behaving like a particle, right, then the particle should also behave like a wave. And that was the theory that has been propagated by Louis de Broglie in 1924. So what he said, that the duality is not the monopoly of the radiation. That is not only the radiation which is going to follow both the property of the light, that is the wave and particle, right? Rather, the vice versa is also possible, and therefore it should be extended for the particle also, and such as particles such as the electrons or neutrons, it should be extended. What it does mean? That electron, when it's a motion, should also give you the wave. The neutrons or any particle, right, if they are moving, they will give you a wave. So if a photon is giving you a wave, right, then electron should also be able to give you the wave. So it should be correct in both the cases. So that was the case taken by Louis de Broglie in 1924. Accordingly, just as the photon has the wave associated with it, the material particle also have the wave associated with them. So any material particle, if material particle is going to move, it will have the wave associated with them. Thus, according to de Broglie concept, a moving particle always have the wave associated with it. So any moving particle, if you are going to take, you will have a wave associated with them, and the motion of the particle is guided by the wave in the similar manner as a photon is controlled by the wave. So how the photon is being controlled? If the wave is moving, then the photon is the part of that wave. So wave is being controlled by the photon. Similarly, the particle which is creating the wave, so it is a wave which should control the particle. That we'll see maybe in more detail, that how the particle is going to be controlled by the wave. So that was the proposal given by Louis de Broglie in 1924. Briefly, if I go to the historical perspective, de Broglie was basically not a student of physics, right? He was a student of the history, but his elder brother was the student of physics, and he was doing some of his work he was working in the telephone exchange, and the younger brother Louis de Broglie was always observing his elder brother, right? And this is how something grasped up, and he has submitted his PhD dissertation, right? And in that PhD dissertation, he has proposed this idea that a particle when in a motion should also behave like a wave. So let us see a bit of its mathematical interpretations, right? So de Broglie concluded his hypothesis known as the de Broglie hypothesis based on the consideration of a special theory of relativity and quantum theory. So these two principles have been applied, that is special theory of relativity and the quantum theory has been applied to find out the de Broglie wave. So quantum theory, as you know, in 1900 the Planck has already given that how the energy will be coming from the black body. So black body is behaving like a resonator, right, where all the particles are vibrating, and its intensity or energy emitted will be directly proportional to its frequency. So we have said E equal to h nu, all right, detail about which we have already seen. And in 1905 a special theory of relativity had come, in which you had said that the energy associated with the particle will be known as E equal to mc square, a famous equation given by Einstein. So based on that, how the mathematical interpretations was taken by D, let us look into. All right. So based on the Planck's theory of radiation, the energy of the quanta or the photons, energy of the quanta, which is nothing so photon, is given by, we know, E equal to h nu. This is the energy that we have seen, and of course that we can say E equal to h nu equal to sc by lambda. This is your energy of the photons. All right, where c is of course the velocity of the light and the lambda is the wavelength associated with them. What Einstein said? So according to Einstein theory of relativity, E equal to mc square. So what I'm saying, this is for the photon. So photon is your particle, this is your photon, photon is a particle. So let us suppose this is your equation 1, and this is your for any material particle, right, E equal to mc square. So here m is the mass of the particle, so both are the particle. So naturally what we can do, we can equate equation number 1 and equation number 2. So if I'm going to equate equation number 1 and 2, what I can say, sc upon lambda will equal to mc square. So just I have equated what I'm saying. mc square is equal to sc upon lambda. Rearrange this and find out what is the value of the lambda. So the value of the lambda we are getting equal to h upon mc. M is the mass, c is the velocity of light. So product of that is given as the momentum. So what I'm saying, lambda is equal to h upon p, that is h upon momentum. This is your de Broglie wavelength. What is the lambda? Lambda is the de Broglie wavelength. It does mean when a particle is moving, so it will have a wave, associated with that, right? And maybe that wave will have a particular wavelength, and we are saying this is the wavelength which is associated with the material particle. This is your wavelength lambda associated with that, right? This was your mathematical interpretations given by de Broglie, because as I told you, he was not the student of physics, so he had a limited skill of the experimental observations. So he was not able to prove it experimentally. And 1924 it was given, and the scientist community in a large has not taken it very seriously because of his background, right? Okay, anyhow, so what I'm saying, the de Broglie wavelength associated with a material particle which is moving will be given as h upon momentum, where h is your Planck's constant and momentum is nothing, product of the mass and velocity, right? This is called de Broglie relation, and lambda is called your de Broglie wavelength. Okay. Now, according to de Broglie hypothesis, the same expression should also be applicable for material particle or matter waves, right? So the relationship that I have taken, lambda equal to h upon p, so this should be applicable for any material particle. If Ek be the kinetic energy of the material particle, then let us see mathematically how we can write down the wave equation. So what I'm saying, let us suppose if you have the material particle, its mass is m and it's moving, and let us suppose its kinetic energy is given by Ek, right? So kinetic energy is given by Ek, then what will be your de Broglie wavelength? So that we can also find out using the same concept. So what I can say, Ek, that is kinetic energy, is equal to half mv square, and this half mv square I have converted in terms of the momentum. So what I can write, p square by 2m. So this half mv square has been converted in terms of the momentum, and therefore what I can say, this is equal to your p square by 2m. So p equal to, just you rearrange, p equal to how much, root under 2m Ek, where Ek is your kinetic energy of the particle. All right. So if I am able to find out the momentum, what I have done, that when the particle is moving with the kinetic energy Ek, then we have calculated what is momentum. All right. And now we know that what is the de Broglie wavelength. De Broglie wavelength is given by lambda is equal to h upon p. Lambda is equal to h upon p. Just we have seen in the previous slide. Lambda is your de Broglie wavelength, h upon p. Substitute the value of the p. So p equal to how much we have calculated? Root under 2m Ek. So just I have substituted. So what I am finding? Lambda equal to h upon 2m Ek. And this is your one of the other equation. Let us suppose this is your equation number 2. So we have got two relation, right? One, I have got lambda is equal to h upon p, right? H upon p, where p is your momentum of the particle, right? And if the particle is moving and the kinetic energy of the particle is your Ek, then what will be that value of the kinetic energy, right, in terms of the momentum that I have calculated. So in terms of the momentum, its kinetic energy will be given as 2m Ek, where m is the mass. So I have just substituted the value of the momentum over here in this equation. Here I have substituted, and I am getting the value of lambda equal to h upon 2m Ek. These two equations are very important because all other equations will be coming from these two. That is lambda equal to h upon p. H is your Planck's constant, p is your momentum, and lambda equal to h upon 2m Ek. Ek is your kinetic energy. So now let us look into the other expressions for it. So now let us see de Broglie wavelength of electron. So here also I am going to calculate from the concept of your kinetic energy. Let us suppose here I have got any material, right? And here I am going to give you thermoionic emission. So I have applied a small voltage, right? And with the thermoionic emission, some of the electron is getting ejected from here, right? So what is being ejected? Electron is getting ejected. Now I have applied, let us suppose through this, I have applied a large voltage, right? Accelerating voltage on this electron which is getting ejected. I have applied a very large accelerating voltage, and let us suppose that voltage is equal to your capital V, right? So under this accelerating voltage, how much energy it is going to gain, right? Who is going to gain? This charged particle, electron. So the energy that is going to be gained by your electron, that is your kinetic energy, is equal to your E into V, where V is your accelerating voltage, right? So what we can say, half mv square kinetic energy, half mv square, right, will be equal to half mv square will equal to E into V, right, where E is the charge and V is your accelerating voltage. So then with that accelerating voltage, the electron start moving. So what is happening? The electron is moving with that accelerate under this accelerating voltage. So it is coming over here, like let us suppose. So what I am finding, the charge is under motion, right? Let us suppose mass of this charge is say electron, mass is your m, and or we can take m naught, and mass of the electron we know 9.1 into 10 to the minus 31, right, kilogram. That is the mass of the electron. So and it's not the kinetic energy equal to E. Kinetic energy is your E into capital V. So this is what I am going to take, and I am going to find out what will be the de Broglie wavelength associated with the electron. So let us see. So I'm deleting this so that we will be able to see it with the clarity. All right. Now let us suppose an electron of the rest mass m naught and charge small e is accelerated by potential capital V volts. If small v is the velocity attained by the electron due to this acceleration, so acceleration due to this electron is getting accelerated, right? And let us suppose its velocity is becoming your small v, then what I can say, the kinetic energy of your particle, that is your particle is nothing, that's your electron, will equal to E into V, where E is the charge and V is the accelerating voltage. So from here I can rearrange and I can find out what is the velocity of the electron. So velocity will equal to how much? 2 EV upon m naught under root, right? So this is the velocity that I have calculated of the electron, right? If I have calculated the velocity, then I can substitute this value in your de Broglie wavelength that we had calculated. What is the wavelength I had calculated? Lambda is equal to h upon p. Lambda equal to h upon p. P is what? Momentum. Momentum equal to how much? M naught into V, where m naught is the mass of the electron, right? So here the V value that I have, let us suppose this is equation 1. So whatever the value we have calculated in the equation number 1, that value I have substituted, and then just I have rearranged, and how much I am getting? Lambda equal to h upon 2 E capital V m naught. So this is the value of the lambda de Broglie wavelength associated with the electron. So this you should always remember. So how much it is value? Lambda equal to h upon 2 E capital V, where capital V is your accelerating voltage, into m naught. M naught is your mass of the electron, and h of course is your Planck's constant. Now all these are constant except your capital V. Capital V is your accelerating voltage, so you can vary your accelerating voltage, right? So except your accelerating voltage, everything is a constant. So let us substitute all the value of the constant. So I have substituted the value of the h equal to 6.625 into 10 to the minus 34 under root 2e. This is your charge on the electron, 1.6 into 10 to the minus 19. This is your accelerating voltage, and this is the mass of this. If I'm going to solve this, what I'm getting? Lambda equal to 12.26 upon under root capital V angstrom, right? So this will be the wavelength associated with the electron. So if the electron is going to move, its wavelength is going to vary from 12.26 upon root under V angstrom. So this is your wavelength of the electron. Now it is universally proportional to your voltage. So you go on varying the voltage and find out the wavelength, right? So you can give the 40 volt, 44 volt, 48 volt, 54 volt. Why I am talking about this? Because on this voltage only this law was verified. And who has verified this law? The above de Broglie wavelength implies that the accelerated electron exhibit wave nature corresponding to X-ray wavelength. So what I am telling here, what I have taken here, I have applied here I have applied the de Broglie concept, and de Broglie concept is basically based on your that a material, if it's a moving, then it will have the wave, right? So what it does mean, a material particle is moving, so electron is a material particle, and electron is moving, and then it is giving you a wavelength. It does mean if the electron is going to move, it will have the wave, then only it is giving you a wavelength. So wavelength that we are getting is in the order of your X-ray wavelength. So this is very close to your X-ray wavelength. X-ray wavelength is not one particular wavelength, it's a wide range of the wavelength. So it is falling somewhere within your X-ray wavelength. The concept of the Davisson and this concept led Davisson and Germer to experimentally verify the wave associated with the electron, and so therefore the Davisson and Germer had experimentally verified. I'm not going in that detail how it was verified, right? But it was verified with the principle of the diffraction. And what is the diffraction? If the light is going to move through a very small slit, and the slit width is less than that of your wavelength, then it is going to give you the diffraction, right? Same principle was applied over here, and what was being observed, that when the wave produced by the electron is moving with from a very small slit, it is giving you the diffraction, right? So as the light was giving the diffraction, the wave associated with the electron, right, is also giving the diffraction. It does mean experimentally it is also verifying, and from that its wavelength was measured, right? So when the electron was bombarded through this very small slit, or the wave produced by the electron was passed through a very small slit, that wave was giving you the diffraction, and from that diffraction we had calculated, Davisson and Germer has calculated what will be the wavelength, and that wavelength exactly matched the wavelength that was given by de Broglie, and therefore it was conclusively proven that the de Broglie concept is correct. But then challenges started from here. It's not very easy that immediately it was accepted, because many hindrance was there in this principle, right? Because if it is moving, it will have a particular velocity, and velocity cannot exceed the velocity of the light, right? All those things slowly it was resolved with the concept of the phase velocity and group velocity. All those things maybe slowly we'll look into it. All right, so what I'm telling you over here is, if a material particle is moving, so material will have the wave associated with that, right? So here electron was a material particle, and electron was moving, it has the wave, and its wavelength has been measured, and that wavelength has been verified, right? And therefore what I can say, when a material particle is moving, it will have wave associated. All right, now let's find out the de Broglie wavelength in terms of the total relativistic energy. So let E be the relativistic energy. So what we know, that the total energy in terms of the relativistic energy is given by m0 square c to the power 4 plus p square c square. It is just like the total energy from the classical physics, you say is a sum of the potential energy plus kinetic energy. Similarly here we say it is your rest energy plus kinetic energy. This is your rest energy plus your kinetic energy, right? So this will be the total energy with the concept of the Einstein theory of relativity. So E square equal to m0 square c to the power 4, where m0 is the mass of the particle, c is the velocity of the light, plus p square c square, where p is your momentum of the particle. So let's apply this principle, and let's find out what will the de Broglie wavelength. So what we can do, we can rearrange this equation, and we can find what will be the value of p. So what I can do, E square minus m0 square c to the power 4. So this term can be taken on the left hand side, right? And then we are left with the p square upon c square. So p will equal to how much? Under root E square minus m0 square to the power 4 upon c. This is the momentum of the particle according to your relativistic concept, right? So this p we can substitute in the de Broglie concept. So what we know from the de Broglie concept, the wavelength is given by lambda equal to h upon mv. Lambda equal to h upon mv. So just you substitute the value of the p that you have calculated over there, and then you can find what is the value. So lambda equal to h, here you have the h upon m into v. M into v is nothing, it's your p, momentum, and p only you have calculated. So just you substitute the value of the p. So what is the p? Under root E square plus minus m naught square c to the power 4. So it has come over here, and of course c has gone up, right? So this is what we are getting. This is your de Broglie wavelength. So here slightly it has been remodified for your numerical problems. What we can say here, both the terms, both denominator and numerator, has been divided by E, right? So this will become SC upon E, and naturally this is your E square, right? So if I'm going to divide by E, so inside it it will become your E square only. So that is going to become 1 plus m naught square to the power 4 upon E whole square. So it also becomes your E square only. So this also becomes E square. So this will be your value. That is de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to SC upon E under root 1 minus m naught C square upon E whole square. This is your de Broglie wavelength. So either you can remember this term or the second term, whatever is convenient to you, you can remember. This has just been solved by dividing the denominator and numerator by E. That's all, right? So now let's proceed. Now de Broglie wavelength in terms of the relativistic kinetic energy. Alright, so classical kinetic energy we have seen. Now we are going to see the relativistic kinetic energy. If the k is the energy of the particle, that is the kinetic energy of the particle, then the total energy equal to rest energy plus kinetic energy. So E equal to m naught c square, right, plus k, where k is your kinetic energy, right? And just we have seen in your previous slide that lambda equal to SC upon E square minus m naught square c to the power 4. Just in the previous class slide you have calculated the value of the lambda in relativistic term, right? So lambda equal to how much? SC upon under root E square minus m naught square c to the power 4. All right. Now here we have to do this equation in terms of the k. So what you do, whatever the value of the E you have calculated over here, this is, let us suppose this is equation 1. So value of E is equal to how much? Rest energy plus kinetic energy. So that value of E you substitute over here, right? So this is what I have done. So here E equal to how much? M naught c square. So this is what I have taken, m naught c square plus k whole square minus m naught square c to the power 4 minus m naught square c to the power 4. Now you open this whole square. Whatever is common, if it is getting cross, you cross them, right? So lambda equal to SC upon, now if I am going to take the whole square of this, this is going to be m naught square c to the power 4 plus k square plus 2 m naught c square m naught square, right? That will your value minus m naught square c to the power 4. So this is what I have taken. Just I have opened the whole square, right? So m naught square c to the power 4 plus k square plus 2k m naught c square, that is going to be your whole square of this. So not naturally m naught square c to the power 4 and the whole square of this m naught square c to the power 4, this is going to be cancelled. So how much we are getting? K square plus 2k m naught c square. Just after a very simple calculation we are getting this. So now here you take k common. Here this k can be taken common. So here I have taken common this. So what I'm getting? K plus 2 m naught c square. This is the value of the wavelength that I am getting, and naturally this is in terms of the kinetic energy k. So this we should remember that the lambda can be given as the de Broglie wavelength in terms of the kinetic energy, relativistic kinetic energy can be given as how much? SC upon k into k plus 2 m naught c square. Now this is for any material particle. Now if let us suppose if I want to find out what is your de Broglie wavelength of any charge. So k is equal to E into V. Just you have seen k is equal to E into V. So what you require to do? Everywhere you have to substitute the value of k equal to E into V. So if the particle of rest mass m naught is carrying a charge q and accelerated under the potential V, then the kinetic energy associated with the charge will be given as k equal to q into V. Or if it is electron, then we can say E into V. So that value we can substitute, right? And if you are going to substitute that value over here, so what I have taken here, you have the k equal to, I am substituting here Q into V. Again here you have K, so here again I have substituted QV and 2 m naught C square as it is we have. So just I have rearranged this, right, by taking certain factor common, and therefore what I am getting, lambda equal to h upon 2 m naught QV into 1 plus QV upon 2 m naught C square. This is your de Broglie wavelength in terms of your kinetic energy, right? Let's see one more. Now de Broglie wavelength in terms of the relativistic kinetic energy. So for a neutral particle, not this is for your neutral particle. This is not for the, this we have already seen. Now this is, next I'm going to take for the neutral particle. So instead of this, here you can take neutral particle, right? So de Broglie wavelength for neutral particle. This is your for your neutral particle. Neutral particle. So for a neutral particle like neutron is your neutral particle, which can be treated similar to your gas molecule, right? As considered in kinetic theory of the gases. So we'll see maybe in the next module, right? So a neutral particle can be just considered like a gas molecule according to kinetic theory of gases, and therefore the average kinetic energy of the neutron or the neutral particle can be given as half mv square, right? And this I am going to convert in terms of the Boltzmann constant and the temperature. So this we are calling as 3 upon 2 kT according to kinetic theory of gas, right? So kinetic energy is equal to 3 upon 2 kT for a gas particle. Since the neutral particle is considered like a gas particle, so what I can say, the kinetic energy associated with the neutral particle can be given as 3 upon 2 kT. This is what I have taken. We have already calculated the de Broglie wavelength in terms of the kinetic energy. So what we require, we just require to substitute the value of kinetic energy there. Alright, where K is the Boltzmann constant, the value of which is this, right? And the wavelength associated in terms of the kinetic energy that we have already derived is given by lambda equal to h upon 2m Ek, and Ek will be equal to how much? 3 upon 2 kT. This is the value of your Ek. So let us suppose this is your equation 1. Substitute the value here in terms of the Ek. So if I am going to substitute the value, what is the value I am getting? Lambda equal to h upon 3 m kT. So this will be your wavelength associated for a neutral particle. So for a neutral particle like your neutron, the wavelength associated with the particle is given by lambda equal to h upon root under 3 m kT. So in this way I have finished your de Broglie wavelength, and maybe next class I am going to start with the uncertainty principle, right? Thank you very much.